New York is often called a city that never sleeps, but it is also a city that never stops building. Every street, tower, bridge, and neighborhood tells a story about the people who dreamed, struggled, and worked to shape it. The history of architecture in New York is not just about bricks and steel. It is a story of ambition, immigration, innovation, and the constant desire to reach higher. From simple wooden houses built by early settlers to the glittering skyscrapers that define its skyline today, New York's architecture reflects the spirit of a city that has always looked toward the future. The story begins long before the famous skyline existed. In the early 1600s, the area was home to indigenous communities who built shelters using natural materials from the forests and rivers around them. When Dutch settlers arrived in 1624 and founded New Amsterdam, they introduced European building styles. Small houses made of stone and wood, with steep roofs and narrow windows, lined the streets. These homes were practical and designed to survive harsh winters, while providing safety and comfort. Even though very few of these buildings remain today, they laid the foundation for the city's architectural journey. In 1664, the British took control of New Amsterdam and renamed it New York. As the colony grew, architecture began to change. Georgian-style buildings, inspired by elegant English designs, became popular. Symmetrical windows, brick walls, and decorative entrances reflected the influence of Britain. Churches, government buildings, and wealthy merchants' homes displayed a sense of order and stability, symbolizing the city's growing importance as a center of trade and politics. The 19th century transformed New York forever. The Industrial Revolution brought new technology, larger populations, and an enormous wave of immigrants from Europe. As thousands of people arrived searching for opportunity, the city expanded rapidly. Rows of brownstone houses became a defining feature of neighborhoods such as Brooklyn and Manhattan. These stylish homes, built with reddish-brown sandstone, combine beauty with practicality and remain some of the most beloved buildings in New York today. At the same time, architects began experimenting with grand public structures. Inspired by ancient Greece and Rome, many buildings were designed in the neoclassical style, featuring tall columns and majestic entrances. Landmarks such as city halls, libraries, and museums were built to express confidence and cultural pride. Architecture was becoming more than shelter. It was becoming a symbol of identity and power. One of the greatest turning points in New York's architectural history came with the invention of the steel frame and the elevator in the late 19th century. Before these innovations, buildings could only rise a few stories high because thick stone walls had to support the weight. Steel allowed architects to build upward without massive walls, while elevators made tall buildings practical for everyday use. Suddenly, the sky was no longer the limit. The race to build higher led to the birth of the skyscraper, a type of building that would become forever linked with New York. Towers climbed above the crowded streets, representing business success and modern technology. By the early 20th century, architects competed to create the tallest and most beautiful structures. The skyline became a canvas for imagination and engineering. During the 1920s and 1930s, New York entered the golden age of skyscraper design. The Art Deco movement swept across the city, bringing bold geometric patterns, decorative metalwork, and dramatic silhouettes. Perhaps the most famous example is the Chrysler building, completed in 1930, with its shining stainless steel crown that sparkles in the sunlight. Shortly afterward, the Empire State Building rose above the city, becoming the tallest building in the world at the time. Built during the difficult years of the Great Depression, it became a symbol of hope, determination, and the belief that even in hard times, people could achieve extraordinary things. After the Second World War, architecture entered a new era. Designers embraced modernism, a style that favored simplicity, clean lines, and glass-covered skyscrapers. Instead of heavy decoration, these buildings celebrated function and efficiency. Office towers with reflective glass walls transformed Midtown Manhattan, giving the city a sleek and futuristic appearance. Architects believed that modern buildings should represent progress, and New York became a global showcase of these ideas. Yet New York has never been a city that forgets its past. In the 1960s and 1970s, many historic buildings faced demolition as developers sought space for new construction. Citizens, historians, and architects joined together to protect the city's heritage. Their efforts led to the preservation of landmarks and neighborhoods that continue to tell New York's story. Grand train stations, historic churches, and centuries-old townhouses were saved, reminding future generations of the city's rich architectural legacy. The late 20th and early 21st centuries introduced another chapter of innovation. Architects began designing buildings that were not only impressive but also environmentally responsible. Green roofs, energy-efficient materials, and sustainable technologies became part of the city's future vision. At the same time, bold new landmarks, including twisting towers and creative public spaces, demonstrated that New York's architectural spirit remained as adventurous as ever. Perhaps the most remarkable feature of New York architecture is its diversity. Walking through the city is like traveling through time. A colonial church may stand beside a Victorian brownstone, while an Art Deco skyscraper reflects the glass walls of a modern tower. Every neighborhood has its own character, shaped by the cultures and communities that settled there. Immigrants from around the world brought their traditions, crafts, and artistic ideas, turning New York into a living museum of global architecture. Today, the skyline of New York is recognized across the world. It is more than a collection of buildings. It is a symbol of human creativity and resilience. Each generation has added something new while preserving pieces of the old, creating a city where history and innovation exist side by side. The story of New York architecture is the story of people who dare to dream bigger, build higher, and create a city that continues to inspire millions.